everybody. My name is Maddie, and today we're going to be talking about Skandasana. Skandasana is a lunge that you'll see sometimes in a flow class, and it's pretty fantastic. It's one of my favorites. So let's get started. Since Skandasana is somewhat of a deep lunge, I always recommend being somewhat stretched out. Maybe we come to cobbler's pose. Maybe we do a happy baby on the back, or always, one of my favorites, coming into a downward facing dog, lifting a leg, bending into the knee, taking some circles there. That's pretty fantastic way to get warmed up through the hips as well. Maybe some boop boop, lizard lunge, who knows? Maybe that feels good. Whatever kind of hip stretches that you like, or maybe going through a flow of any kind to help get everything nice and loose to get started here. So before we flow with our Skandasana, I have a little bit of an exercise to help you get kind of used to the shape. So Skandasana essentially is like a one-legged Malasana yogi squat. So we're going to have a couple of blocks here. We're going to place them underneath our sit bones, make sure they're nice and stacked so we're stable. And then sitting the hips down as the crown of our head reaches up. Nice proud chest, nice flat back is what we're going for here. Malasana yogi squat with some blocks. Awesome. And then how we make this a Skandasana is let's extend that left leg long. Woo, look at that. So our left heel is on the ground, left toes pointing up towards the sky, flexing in through those toes to protect those joints. And our whole right foot is working to come down to the mat here. So as we come into our yogi squat in our flow, it might not look exactly like this, but this is a great way to play around with the shape and kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like in your body. Perfect. All right. So once you've played around with that for a bit, let's come into a wide-legged forward fold. Set those blocks off to the side. We may want them later. So feet, I'm going to use the long end of my mat. Nice flat back, crown of the head reaching down, sides of the feet grounding down into the mat. I'm going to turn my right toes towards the top left corner of my mat, and then I'm going to start to sink into this right knee, sending my hips down, keeping my chest nice and proud, and then trying to create space for my left toes to come up off of the mat. So depending on how open your hips are and how deep you might go into this, you might create more space too by coming on to your tiptoes if that feels okay in your hips, but we're trying to work our whole foot down to the ground. So however it is that we can start to create more flexibility through the ankles as we sink our hips down. And then maybe we don't need the blocks and we can just bring our fingertips down to the mat. Or maybe we can bring our hands to heart center and play around with balance. Awesome. And then hands come down. Let's try it on the other side. Let's walk our blocks over with us. Turning our left toes out as we sink into it. And then trying to create that space for that right heel to come to the ground and right toes to flip up as we sink into those hips. Know your options. You can always bring the ground closer to you. You can always come up onto that foot as long as you're trying to ground that heel down, try and create that space in the ankle. Or maybe hands come to heart center. And then if you want to power it up, if you want like a fun powered up flow option, you can try and transition to Skandasana on the other side without touching the ground. So you would straighten through this left leg, ground down your right foot, turning it out, bending into that right knee as the left toes come up. Whee! It feels like Spider-Man or like a ninja or something like that. Awesome. And then fingertips come down as we come back to that wide-legged forward fold. And then just making our way into a seat. Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for following along with me as we talked about Skandasana. Wherever you are, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.